Attention business owners and managers. Are you determined to make 2019 your best year yet? Are you tired of not showing up online where people are searching? Are you overwhelmed by digital marketing? If you answered yes to these, stop. Write this down, and after the podcast, get help. Go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve. Glory Ramsey and Successful Marketing Group will help you get found, get customers, and build your dreams. Her results are proof. After the podcast, go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve and sign up for a free 45-minute phone call and action plan with Glory. Make 2019 a huge success.
Well, it's too bad you probably won't get the chance to draft Sabrina Ionescu. She might be a lot of fun.
I think so. She's got some sass to her.
Yes.
Having a triple-double in the NCAA tournament game and having a reaction when she was interviewed about a little bit of shade thrown at ESPN, I think, when she talked about really not getting the recognition. The women's sports don't get recognition on ESPN, and so she said it probably wouldn't be recognized. She's the all-time leader in triple doubles, which is really amazing. 18 of them throughout her career, so male or female, pretty incredible.
Last time we did a live show at Poorhouse, downtown Minneapolis, you went into some depth talking about the draft, the top 6, 7 picks. You obviously had the 6th pick, and some player breakdowns and some almost predictions of how things might play out. I'm just going to let you kind of recap that now.
Yeah, we talked about, probably the big narrative around the draft is who's going to be in it, and I think that's what's going to affect us the most. If there are no early entries, our draft looks very different as compared to, we anticipate maybe 2 early entries that could impact the top 5. So, I talked a lot about, probably a range of players, anybody from, if Jackie Young does declare and renounce her eligibility, that's a player, we would be considered, be attractive to us. She fills a couple of needs. Nafisa Collier, we talked about. We talked about Katie Lou Samuelson. So UConn players. I think that who else we have in there? I think the Stanford kid has played very well, Lana Smith. So we have probably 3 or 4 that we know are going to be there, and we'll obviously we'll be able to select one. I'll probably get there and want to take more than one, Jim, and I'm going to ask for that.
Well, if you ask, I'm sure they'll say yes.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So you know what they say: if you don't ask, you don't know.
Exactly.
That would be helpful to us.
She's Cheryl Reeve. This is the Cheryl Reeve Show, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. We appreciate everybody listening and making the show a success. Thanks to our sponsors, especially Poorhouse, which is now hosting our live shows. We will be getting our next live show date to you as soon as we have it, hopefully sometime in late April after the draft is completed, and we can really break down what did happen. Had a great showing for our first show at the Poorhouse over there on 5th Street. Walking distance from Mayo, walking distance from Target Center. It's going to be a great pregame, great postgame place. It's a great lunch spot. It's a huge area, so when we have the live show, we can fit a lot of people. I think we had 68 people there last time, which is remarkable. Thank you to everybody who made that happen, and thanks to the Poorhouse for sponsoring the program. Thanks to our other sponsors, SuccessfulMarketingGroup.com, Shelly Bean, the Sports Queen Sportsbooks, Bite Squad. Bite Squad promo code is TalkNorth if you want to get your first delivery fee waived. Thanks also to our producer, Brandon Morton. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. Follow Talk North Pod for live show dates and other sponsor information. And please download before you listen, as you know. So what else can you tell me at this point about the draft? Well, as I said at the live show, maybe we should tell people when it is. Yeah,
that's a big thing. April 10th. I just tweeted about that recently that, it's unfortunate because it's one of the biggest events, in any league, really. And we just do a poor job, even after there was an announcement, there's so many people that have no idea of when it's on, where they can find it. And that's just, at times it's discouraging, for women in sport that this is how it's handled. And, it is what it is. We'll persist, but, the draft will be April 10th. And it will be on ESPN, and I'm sure it'll be a great show. It's a day that I always really enjoy. There's so much preparation that goes into it. It's a lot like a wedding, Jim, that all the details and you get to the day. And after that it's over and you move on. So we don't spend nearly as much money. Actually, maybe the scouting budget, if you look at that, it could be comparable to what we spend on preparation for a wedding.
How many games did you see in person, and how many
wow.
games did you watch on whatever they call it now, film, video?
Yeah, well, far more on Synergy is our
Sure.
resource. And actually, there's more games on TV. Pac-12 Network is amazing. You have ACC, SEC, Big Ten Network. There's a lot of games you can see now. You can consume that way. We find ourselves watching a game. We've got on your device, on your phone. You get a lot of different ways to watch, and so we did a lot of that. But you go all the way back to November. I think the non-conference might be my favorite time to scout because you get some of the, bigger games, the conference challenges. We always enjoy that, and usually a tropical visit somewhere. We sent Shelley Patterson to some really great place.
She deserves it.
She sure does. She's been coaching for 50 years in the WNBA, so we thought we'd let her do that. Gosh, I don't know how many games in live. I just, if you ask my family, it was a lot, and it was probably too many. But there's nothing like being in person. And watching a player, and we like to look at behind the scenes. If you get a chance to attend a practice, a shoot around, whatever it is, that you just the value of that information, it goes a long, long way. You talk to a lot of people, about that player, not just coaches, the ones around the program. So really valuable times, and it's tapered down now. Now we're just watching the NCAA tournament mostly on TV, and then we'll be at the Final Four, and the next thing you know, we'll be drafting.
Well, you'll know your league has really made it when you can turn like some kind of a draft combine into a big event where you ask people really stupid questions and punch them in chests and see what they do.
And there'll be, I think the Athletics sent 50 story writers to the draft. But there's not very many stories about women's sports, but there are 50 to go cover the NFL Combine to ask those great questions about those interviews. And it's silly, obviously, and I think I put that in the category overthinking things.
Yes.
But whatever works for them, But I do think that we need a combine. We used to have a combine, and it was cost prohibitive, and so the league moved on from that. I think it's time we get back to that. I think it's really helpful. There are some coaches that aren't in favor of it because they know they can outwork other coaches, and so the combine kind of neutralizes that work ethic. So I think we need it, and hopefully we'll have a chance to get that back. But first, we need a president of our league. 5 months and counting.
What do you think? Is it time?
Would this ever happen in the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball? It just wouldn't.
Now, the NFL would be better off if they didn't have a commissioner, but that's a different topic.
That is very true. Very, very true. So, obviously, we're the folks at the league office are holding down the fort, and this is going to be a doozy. I know that it's taken them a long time, but I'm sure it's going to turn out great.
Are you? Do you have any optimism here that they're going to get somebody? Or
we're going to get somebody.
Well, I know, but somebody productive.
Many that have covered the league for a long time will say this is not uncommon for the NBA to take this long. So I guess it's status quo for the league, but I think we deserve better. I really do, and it's unfortunate for the person that's going to be selected to be named, and then it's to start a league, and you really don't get much work done. This is what happened with Lisa Borders. She visited markets. she really didn't know what she was. I don't want to say she doesn't know what she was doing. She didn't know what she had. She had to spend all that time learning instead of giving them time to be a part of the processes that lead into that season. So really unfortunate. Maybe it's one of those things that I know that we don't always know the whole story. We don't always know what they're dealing with. But this just seems just a bit long and unnecessary.
Thanks to SuccessfulMarketingGroup.com, Gloria Ramsey's company can help you get found. Attention, business owners and managers. Are you determined to make 2019 your best year yet? Are you tired of not showing up online where people are searching? Are you overwhelmed by digital marketing? If you answered yes to any of these, stop and write this down. After the podcast, go get help. SuccessfulMarketingGroup.com/Cheryl Reeve. Call and Gloria Ramsey will help you get found, get customers, and build your dreams. Her results are proof. And if you go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve, she will give you a free 45-minute phone call and action plan. Make 2019 a huge success and support the people who support this podcast and this network. Lori Ramsey's one of them. So we appreciate that. Support her if she has the kind of help that you need, and she can help a lot of people. What will the War Room look like on draft night?
A little bit different this year. We've changed the site. We're going to move up into the owner's suite, and it will be crowded, as it usually is. People visiting in and out. You'll have your social media team. We will have our staff that will be, at that point, all decisions are made, and now you're just kind of waiting to see how things go. You're fielding your last phone calls about any possible inquiries for trades, and you just sit back and enjoy the show and hope things go as you planned. And I would say that in our case, with 3 second-round picks, with just one pick in between each of them, so 16, 18, and 20, we have to be nimble. We have to be ready. We have to anticipate, the 2 picks that are between us. And so we'll be obviously spending a lot of time on that. But draft day is, the work is done. It's almost like game day. All your prepper's in, and you just got to ride it out.
Who will you rely on the most? I mean, you're obviously the general manager and you're the coach, and you have the resume. I mean, you could just sit there and make the decision. Who do you lean on, though, if you're not quite sure?
Well, I've really learned this from Roger, and I think that the consensus of listening to everyone, and so we'll have our full complement of staff, obviously. That we're actually starting meetings, this week, and we'll be holed up for hours and in 3 days, and we're going to get to a certain place where we feel like your rankings are in, your prospects by position as far as the rankings, your top 25, that sort of thing that you banter about. And at the end of the day, if you have a couple of different opinions, you have to go with your gut and what you think would be best for the team. Oftentimes we involve our players if that's necessary, if we feel like we're unsure, how the fit would be. And then, on draft day, like I said, decisions are made. So draft day is, I don't want to say it's easy, because there's a level of stress that goes with it. There's uncertainty all around, but the work is already in. And if you've done your work early and you've prepared and you've thought about a couple of different scenarios, when you get there, it's actually easy. It's like being in a 20-second timeout at the end of the game. People say, how do you do it? Tie game, well, you've already done it. You've already done your work at practice. You're just calling up in your head which play it is that you're going to run that you've already done at practice. So again, if you prepare, you have that confidence, and it breeds not only confidence, but hopefully success.
How deep do you dive into analytics?
I've gone back and forth on that. There's probably been some years where we decided based on analytics if you had a couple players. I'm probably in a place now that that there's probably a little more balance, and maybe tipping in the favor of what you see in person, what you see with your eyes, and also the intel that you get on players. That to me probably weighs more than the analytics. I think we've seen some players that have made our league that have defied analytics. So I think I want to be careful. I don't want to fall in that trap and miss somebody because maybe they didn't quite reach a certain number. So you got to be open-minded. But I think what you see in person, the intel that you get about who they are as a person and how they fit you, those are the 2 most important things.
What do you think is going to happen with Liz Cambage? I always screw up her name. Cambage.
Yep.
Cambage.
Yep.
And could it affect you?
We think it'll affect the draft. If there's going to be a trade, we suspect it'll involve a draft pick, depending on which team she ends up on. The number 1 pick could be involved, or LA's picking number 7. That's another destination that she's talked about. So it could. It may not affect our first-round pick, but for sure it could affect our 16, 18, 20 based on what happens there at 7.
Let's talk. I have kind of an unusual question. It's probably a dumb question, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. You can handle it. I do want to thank Shelley Bean, the Sports Queen. Sports books written by Shelley Boyen-Breen, who's a friend of ours and a friend of the program's been supporting us for a long time. She writes great children's books that are aimed ages about 4 through 9, and they're not the same books you're going to find everywhere else. Hers feature a girl named Shelley Bean who tries out different sports and then journals about them, who gets knocked down, gets back up, and she has, friends, again, who you might not see in traditional children's books, because it's not all just small white boys. It's different demographics. And I always refer to the review by Rebecca Flansburgh. She says, "I love the representation of diversity in this picture book that would appeal to both boys and girls. Friends like Parisa, who swims in her hijab swimsuit, and Mason, who uses a wheelchair on dry land but can swim like a fish in the water." And that kind of